Hi and welcome to this episode of Junk Journal with me. I will be working on two separate spreads, very different from each other, and I'm starting off documenting a visit of this adorable Caucasian Shepherd 4-month-old puppy. And I just want to mention, while I was doing this spread, I was absolutely heartbroken, and I'm using this Tim Holtz paper pad that I got recently, and that is linked below. And I will show you some footage of this adorable, not so little puppy in a moment, so that you know what I'm talking about. And I will explain the story of why we had him and why I'm heartbroken. And so I'm just choosing some paper, and you will see him now. So that was Alam, and Alam came as a surprise. My hubby brought him on last week Thursday at night, and totally surprised me with him and told me that we would be taking care of him until Saturday around noon. He had just been flown in from Romania to Vienna, where we live, and he was basically in transit, and he would have to fly on to Tunisia on Saturday. So poor little puppy. It was the first time he was away from his home and his family, and he would go to a wonderful new family with kids and other dogs. But of course, it's a very long journey for a little puppy like that, and he was scared, obviously, and he didn't know what was going on either. And we did the best to take care of him for this short time that we had him, and he conquered our heart, obviously, within minutes, and he's just the most adorable thing. And so what I wanted to do here was, because I didn't feel like creating anything for those 2 days. Well, first of all, I was very busy with the puppy, and second of all, I was just too heartbroken after he left. And then I decided to take my broken heart and put it down in this journal in this form. So I printed out one of the photos I had taken of him on the first evening that we got him, when we took him out for a walk. And now I just made this background with a Tim Holtz paper, and I'm also using Tim Holtz paper to make a tag, but as I wasn't quite with it, I made numerous mistakes here, but it all worked out in the end. So I'm making this tag here, and the plan was to put the photo on one side and to journal on the other side. And after I cut the shape of the tag, I realized right here that the paper is upside down, and I cut off the wrong part of the paper, because where you see the lines is where I wanted to journal. So I decided to kind of switch everything around and to make a pocket on top of that tag, which had some lines, and then I could journal on the front and stick the photo inside. So after inking everything up, I also decided to make the pocket into a tag shape. And I waited actually 2 days making this voiceover, because I didn't want to make such a sad voiceover. So I thought it was better to just wait and hope that I would do better. And I am better now, but I'm still heartbroken. So now I'm just gluing that pocket onto that tag, and I'm putting a hole into the tag, and I'm using one of Allison's hole reinforcements, and they're metallic. She sent them to me in Happy Mail, and I'm just choosing which one of those I would like best with this paper. And next, I wanted to write the words puppy love in the front, and I wanted to cover up that wording that was on the pocket. So I chose one of the scraps of the Tim Holtz papers, and I wanted to stamp puppy love with my recollection stamps. But while I was taking the stamps apart, I realized that I couldn't really do it well because puppy has 3 P's, and that alphabet set didn't have 3 P's. It might have had 2, but not 3. So I decided to switch to my roller stamp. Both of these stamps are in my description box below, and I'm using my vintage photo that I also always use for distressing my edges, and I'm just always trying the stamp out first, because you always have to make sure the letters are lined up. So now I'm stamping that onto the Tim Holtz paper, and the first try it didn't come out the way I liked it, so I tried it again on another spot, and that one was fine. And I'm just gonna tear that with my regular ruler. And just as a tip that I also received from my viewers is always tear the longer part away from the other way, sorry, no, now I'm confused. Now, yeah, always tear the longer part, the bigger part away from the smaller part. It's easier than trying to tear small parts. So now I wanted to glue that over that word, and what do? I just glue it right under it. I wasn't with it. So I take it off, I try to rub the glue off, and then I also decide to add some cheesecloth underneath that heading, just because I like the look and I wanted to add some more texture, and I also kind of think that because it was because I had an edge like that, it kind of reminded me of the fur of the puppy, so I thought that was really good. And so I just glued that on with my glue stick. Now I'll glue the puppy love on top of that, and that will be the title for my pocket. And now I'm just gonna see if that really works. I'm gonna put the photo inside. And now I'm going to write a quote that I found, and it says, "Before you get a dog, you can't quite imagine what living with one might be like. Afterward, you can't imagine living any other way." And I totally can relate to that quote now, and I'm sure every pet owner can relate to that. And on the back, I wanted to write another quote, and I thought that the background was a bit too dark, so I decided to glue a piece of coffee stained paper on it. So I'm just tearing that again with my ruler, inking up the edges and gluing that to the back. And then I'm going to write down this other quote, which says, "Petting, scratching, and cuddling a dog could be as soothing to the mind and heart as deep meditation, and almost as good for the soul as a prayer." And I'm sure you can relate to this as well if you've ever had a pet, and it's totally true. Yeah, and then I knew I wanted to attach this tag somehow so that it's removable, so I didn't want to glue it down. And so I'm using for the first time these tiny bull clips. I found them at my local art store. I'm sure you can find them on Amazon or AliExpress as well. And I found these 2 charms, which is a heart and a key, kind of to symbolize like that Alam has the key to my heart. And that is extremely corny, I know, but it was just how I felt, so I wanted to do that. And usually I wouldn't put gold and copper and silver together, but that's all I had, and I just wanted to do it. And actually it's okay, I don't mind it. So I'm just gonna clip that onto my page like that, and then I will take the photo out and I will actually journal on the back about that day, the Friday that we had the whole day together with him and my hubby and I. and the things we did and the whole story of him. So I just did that off camera, just like that, and then I of course distressed those edges as well, and I stuck him in the pocket, and that's where I will keep the memory, or one of my memories of him. And then I waited until the next morning to do the second spread, which is going to be very different. And I wanted to use one of these wonderful pockets I had received in Happy Mail, and I wanted to attach it to my journal, and I thought it was so fascinating that it had this hole on the top when it opens on the bottom. I guess that's the only way to put a hole in it. And so I wanted to find a way to use it. So I chose some elements that I thought I could use to decorate one of the sides with. And so this is from a floral book page that I just now tore and inked up, and now I will choose some papers that I can kind of frame it with on the background to give it more interest, more layering, more texture. So I'm just going to play around with that for a bit. These are also from Happy Mail, these tickets. And I'm just going to grab some other bits here from my smallest ephemera. And these are tickets I made myself from the Tim Holtz ticket booth stamp and die cut set. I will have them linked below as well. So I just stamped, or first I used a die cut on some scrapbook papers, and then I stamped on them with my vintage photo, and I love how they turned out. So I'm going to be using some of these as background as well. They're so much fun. And I'm just going to place a few more around. And now I'm just going to glue all those bits down. And again, I'm just leaving out the glue part to not waste your time, because you know what gluing looks like. And by the way, at the end of the video, I have some more footage of Sweet Alam, and he's hopefully now, well, he obviously he is now already in Tunisia with a big garden and a family who's desperately waiting for him. They had another dog that passed away, and they were so sad and they really wanted another dog, so they got him and his brother organized for Alam to be transferred to them. And but the brother couldn't take care of him while he was in Vienna because he was working, so, and he had no idea about dogs, so we took care of him instead. And I'm so thankful for the time we had with him. It was absolutely a wonderful time. He turned my flat upside down, as you can imagine, but it was totally worth it. I wouldn't exchange it for anything. So now I wanted to decorate the flap as well, and I also wanted to challenge myself to use some embellishing elements that I usually don't use. And you see here I have these this cute pink feather, and I'm pretty sure I got this at Action, which is a Dutch chain that we have here in Europe and in a lot of countries. And I was really struggling with where to put it, and I finally decided to go for that place where it's now. And I also wanted to add these little flowers, and I wanted to add 3 of them in different shades, and I wanted to put them on that flap there. So as you can see, this is not, I don't usually go as far with embellishing as I do here, but I just wanted to do something different, as I said, and I wanted to challenge myself, and I like it. It kind of looks shabby chic, and yeah, nice to try something different once in a while. And I'm still struggling with the position of everything, but then I finally decided to glue everything down. Just using my white glue here on the stem of the feather. Could have used my glue gun, but I was too lazy to get it out and to plug it in and to wait for it to get hot. So the white glue is just fine, and same with these flowers. I think the white glue is going to work quite well, if it was a project that I was gonna send to somebody or sell or something, I think I would have used the hot glue instead. But for me and my journal, this is totally fine. Okay, so that's as much of the embellishing as I'm going to do. And now for the inside, I'm using the previous Daphne's Diary magazine. This is number 3 from this year, 2019. This is not the latest one. I've got another one in the meantime. And inside, they had these printouts of, I don't remember what they were supposed to be used for. I think they were meant for making a little booklet, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm actually going to use one of these to make a tag for the inside. So I'm just cutting around it and I'm folding it up just to make it a little bit thicker. And after folding it, I'm trying to see which side do I actually want to use, which one of those 2 designs. And so I hold it next to my envelope to see which one would be more in sync, and I decided to go for this one because the colors were matching better, although I really do like that inside one as well, but oh well, you cannot have it all. So I'm just gluing that together, and then I'm going to write another quote on it, but first I wanted to stamp the word love on the front on some coffee stained paper, and I don't know where I got this from. I've had this forever, so I'm showing you the information on the stamp in case you want to look for it somewhere. It's a very cute stamp. It kind of reminds me of hippie times with the flowers there. And I'm using my archival ink in plum that I want to use more often because it's a lovely, lovely color. So I want to stamp that in the front because I wanted to write again kind of about my love for the puppy. And I'm tearing this with my tearing ruler this time. And I have that one linked below on 2 different platforms as well. I think once on eBay, once on Amazon UK, if I'm not mistaken, if you want to find that. And of course, I'm going to ink around that and glue that onto the floral part of the tag. And now on the tag, the back side, I'm going to write another quote I found. So when someone else's happiness is your happiness, that's love. And it's a quote by Lana Del Rey. And yeah, it was totally what I was feeling at that moment. And so I wanted to document that. And now I needed to attach this envelope to my journal, so I'm just making a hole there, and I'm being careful not to put the hole through the other side of the page where I had my Amity Bloom fold out, but it worked out perfectly because that way the back of the hole where the brad backside would be covered. And so I'm using this brad, I think it's Tim Holtz, I got it at a fair. And now it kind of bothered me that the flap was open like that, so I took some Velcro that I got locally at like a shop that's kind of like a $1 shop. Here it's €1 shop, so I bought those there a long time ago. Never used them, so this is a great opportunity to use them. And I'm just gonna glue those down, or I mean they're self-adhesive, and use them to close the flap. So that's great, but it does add quite a bit of bulk as well. But hey, this is our junk journal. It's gonna be a gator mouth in the end anyway. So, okay, so that's the end of the second spread, and stay tuned for some more beautiful puppy footage, and hope to see you back here next time.